Tonight I'm kindly joined by Terry. Now, in the police, playing practical jokes on other police officers is quite common, and I believe, Terry, you've got a story to share about one such occasion.
Yes, I have, and practical jokes, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're dealing with infantile policemen. I often looked at humour, for example, as a way of cushioning maybe some of the stark realities of police work. In fact, I'm almost certain of it, so without humour we'd all be lost.
That's right.
I got one that I'll never forget. I'd been on the beat maybe 2 days. Another policeman who was a veteran of the streets, he'd been in 6 months, he knew I was new, and he came over to me and he said, "Oh, I'm on this particular beat," and it was actually from Victoria Street down. He said, "But you're in the beat," and one was from the town hall down to Victoria Street. He said, "That's your beat." He said, "Could you pick up 2 pork burgers and 2 milkshake, one for you and one for me?" I said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Because for our tea, because the food at the barracks is no good." I said, "No, it's not." I said, "Yeah, we'll do that, no problem." He said, "I'll meet you on the top of the fire escape, which is above the Cinerama." And I said, "Yeah, I'll do that, He said, I'll give you the money when I see you." I said, "Yeah, yes, no problem." So I did exactly that. It was a Friday night, and I went to a place called the Waldorf in those days, and this was a takeaway bar just up from the Civic Theatre in Wellesley Street. And they didn't know me. As it turns out, they knew this other policeman, but I didn't know that. And so I bought 2 pork burgers and 2 milkshakes, and these milkshakes come in fairly thin, slender tubes, a bit smaller than today. And then I was confronted with the problem of carrying them, you see, because you don't see beat cops walking down clutching food or carrying paper bags full of food. I thought, gee, how am I going to carry these things? And the guy who obviously was in on the joke, I think now I look back, he said, "What we'll do," he said, "we'll put them in your helmet." "Oh yeah, because there's room up there." Yeah. So he put them in the helmet. I said, "But what about the thick shakes?" He said, "You're quite bulky in these sleeves. Why don't you put one up each sleeve and you put your finger on the base of it?" He said, "and concealed from view." I said, "That's a good idea." You see? So that's exactly what they did. And so there I am. I've got all my appointments, my notebook, my whistle, and my trusty truncheon, my helmet. And there I was. So I leave the Waldorf and I walk down Wellesley Street heading towards the intersection with Queen Street. And as I'm walking down, I feel this warmish sensation in the top of my head. Not altogether unpleasant because it was quite a cold night. But the warm sensation became a little hotter as I walked. So when I got down to the main intersection, there was crowds of people because some had just come out of the movies. And of course, shopping centres weren't that common in the suburbs in those days, and so there were a lot more people on Queen Street on a Friday night than there are today. So there I am. And people were giving me strange looks. And I didn't know why. But now I do know why. Is that in the helmet there's these little wee ventilation holes, you see. And because it was a cold night, steam was starting to come out from these ventilation holes. I didn't realise that. People were just sort of saying to each other, people looking at me funnily, and I'm thinking, why look at me funnily? They don't know I'm carrying pork burgers in my helmet, And then I discovered that the sensation of being hot was becoming scorchingly hot and most unpleasant. In fact, unbearably unpleasant. And I thought, this is really hurting. And I'm waiting for the lights to turn green because I can't jaywalk in uniform. Policeman doing that, you can't do that. So I'm sitting there and it's getting hotter and hotter. And I'm thinking, now what can I do? If I raise my hand to try and move my helmet, the sleeves would tighten, and milk would go everywhere. So I can't do that, and I knew that. So I had to grin and bear it. And of course my face was all contorted with pain, which made more people look at me, plus the steam coming out of my helmet. Eventually, we've got the green light for pedestrians to cross. So now, knowing I've got to walk at about 3 miles an hour, I've quickened the pace. Now, when you quicken the pace as a beat constable, people think there's something up. You're going to somewhere. And this arouses even more attention. As I get to the other side, pretty close to Smith & Coe's, other people are looking at me, and there were children saying, "Policeman's been shot!" And I couldn't figure out what policeman he was talking about, but he was actually talking about me. And I felt this warm sensation on my forehead. And what actually happened is the tomato sauce had seeped out of the bag and was actually come out of my helmet, and I had tomato sauce running down my nostrils and my face. And I'm in real agony at this time. and now I'm walking even faster. Some American tourist asked me for directions, and I totally ignored him. And I kept walking. I'm going faster and faster. Children were following me, you know. The tomato sauces all over my face like that. Steam's coming out my helmet. And I managed to get to Strand Arcade, and I managed to get through this door, open the door, and I lifted my sleeve to get my helmet. Oh, and milk went up in the air, went all over me, all over my trousers. Pork burgers fell on the ground. I managed to gather it all up. I climbed all the way up to the top of the fire escape to see my mate, and he wasn't there. Even to this day, I remember in the Cinerama was the tune Paint Your Wagon. I was born under a wandering star. I always remember that. And there I am standing there, covered in milk. It was a practical joke, because when I saw him later, he goes, ha ha ha!